Hey everybody, it's LavenderTowne, and today I'm turning music genres into cute girls. We're starting with lo-fi. It's kind of a weird one to start off with, but it is one of the most prevalent recent music genres, and I think a lot of people, regardless of what their usual music taste is, really enjoy lo-fi just because it makes it so easy to concentrate on things like homework and studying. And that brings me to the first thing that I'm really focusing on with this character, is that I want her to look like a bit of a nerd. Now, naturally, my first struggle with this was not just drawing the lo-fi studying girl that everybody's seen all around YouTube. I wanted to make this character distinct from her while still having some of her sort of like elements and designs, because honestly it's hard to separate lo-fi from that character at this point. Lo-fi is basically described as being a style of music that sort of intentionally shows the flaws of the music. Things like the scratchiness of vinyl and things like that are all featured in lo-fi, and that is sort of the thing that makes lo-fi sound the way that it sounds. And so in addition to the like sort of nod to the fact that lo-fi music is known for making it easier to concentrate or study, I also just tried to give her little imperfections that make her even cuter, because like I said, lo-fi is all about the like wonderful aesthetics of things that are imperfect. So I gave her things like freckles and band-aids, things that are technically imperfections that often make a person cuter. Lo-fi is also sometimes like a vintage sort of sound, so I tried to add in a few little notes that made it feel more vintage, like these sort of like squiggly cord headphones, you know, they kind of remind me of like old style headphones you don't really see that much anymore. And I attached them to a little like Walkman on her hip, as well as having some little nods to like Sailor Moon on the pins on her shirt. The color palette was something that I sort of tossed around with, but in the end I decided to go for a warm pastel sort of palette, because that is something that you see in the lo-fi studying girl image, as well as generally in lo-fi images that you see online. It seems like it tends to lean in a warmer direction, and lo-fi music often has a warm and comforting sound, so I thought it all kind of worked together in that way. Oh, and I don't know if this actually came across, but I tried to make her eyes kind of look like vinyls, but especially after I put the shines in, I don't know if that really reads, but anyway, I still ended up liking her quite a bit. If you have any name ideas for her, please let me know. Next up is the devilish one of the group. This is metal. Now, there are so many different types of metal that it was actually kind of hard to figure out exactly what I was going to go with, but I tried to sort of include everything that I knew about, as well as some general things that I knew were sort of iconic of metal. Now, metal is known for a lot of things. There's a lot of people who associate metal with Satanism, for better or for worse, as well as things like really flashy makeup, really aggressive sound, and generally like, you know, any imagery that's like all hardcore. I definitely knew I had to make her hair long so she could do some good headbanging, and I even gave her this sort of like leather jacket and dress combination that low-key kind of reminded me of Baby Metal, one of my favorite metal groups of all time. You guys may not know this about me, but I pretty much like at least a little bit of every genre of music I've ever heard. I used to be one of those people who said I liked every genre of music other than country, but then after playing enough New Vegas, I ended up finding some country songs that I even like, so really no genre is safe from my adoration, and metal is no exception. I really love Baby Metal because it kind of combines my weeaboo spirit with the edginess of metal songs. One of the main things I tried to avoid with this character is just making them look like any other counterculture sort of character, because there are a lot of counterculture things that have some overlap with metal that I don't want her to be sort of mixed up with. Emo, scene, and goth are all styles that are slightly outside of like what a traditional metalhead would look like. So I tried to add in a splash of color to avoid just straight goth looks, and didn't put any color in the hair to avoid like a scene sort of thing. interesting. I mean, not that any of these subgenres of style can't interact with metal or enjoy it, but generally I was just trying to not fall into the wrong subcategory with this character, and it ended up being relatively difficult because there is a lot of overlap, especially when people aren't used to things looking edgy or dark. It can all start to look the same, I think, but yeah, I tried to make sure that she looked distinct and basically embodying the spirit of metal, not just being someone who's into metal, but actually being the very energy of metal itself. Anyway, by the end, she was laden with piercings, full of energy, and pretty much what I pictured from the start. Next up is jazz, one of the most important genres of music, I would imagine, just because it gave birth to so many extremely formative parts of music genres, and especially for American music, it's really made quite a difference in the direction that music went for us. So I wanted jazz to be a super classy sort of character, kind of romantic, and definitely giving off that old-fashioned vibe because it is so foundational. And in general, I do think that jazz certainly had its heyday in the past. It seems like you're more likely to hear jazz in an elevator than you are in a concert hall or anything these days. But anyway, I just really wanted this character to look like a sort of like really cool, kind of handsome sort of girl character. I gave her this like kind of done up, almost 1920s looking suit, as well as holding a martini and a rose in her mouth. I designed her hair based on a jazz singer that came up when I just searched the word jazz into Google Images, which sounds stupid, but sometimes when you're looking for really rough inspiration, you never know what you'll find if you just pop that keyword into the search bar. So yeah, that's my tip for you for today. I put a little piano design on the cuffs of her jacket, and then I decided to make this whole design into a sepia rather than having a color. I thought it would just be really, really cool and really lean into that sort of old-timey vibe, and it actually added so much to the drawing. When I was trying to decide on the colors before, it just nothing was feeling right. But when I went to fully like sepia colors instead, it really started to pop out and become what I had in mind. I think she looks really, really cool. I like drawing characters that are sort of outside of like what I usually draw, just because, you know, you fall into habits and it can get kind of boring. Her fedora was a joke at first, but I ended up liking it enough to keep it, as well as her duo-colored eyes. I actually don't really have any justification for that other than that I started to learn how to draw on DeviantArt. Leave me alone. I only did it for one character. It's allowed. Okay, for this next one, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think I would have done this one if it weren't for the poll that I ran deciding what genre I was going to do next. Much to my surprise, despite some really strong contenders in the poll, what the audience decided on today in my stream was that we were going to do the physical embodiment of show tunes / Broadway / musicals. I should have known that with musicals being this popular, they had a strong chance, but still I didn't think they'd beat out things like pop, rock, or K-pop for that matter. I truly thought that the thrall of K-pop stans would be stronger than this, but regardless, I ended up with a character I really liked, spoiler alert, so I'm glad that it turned out this way. So for musicals / show tunes / Broadway, the most important thing is to make sure that this character is crazy theatrical. It kind of goes without saying, I mean, it's literally theater, but Broadway and musical songs are some of the most intense, emotional, extreme, like building songs that you can find pretty much anywhere. It's basically just opera for the modern age, so it goes without saying that I had to make this character really, really extra and very high energy. I ended up going with this like strangely royalty sort of vibe with the character, and I ended up giving her a skull, sort of a Hamlet-esque sort of Shakespearean vibe. All in all, the most important thing with the whole character is just that she was really like exploding with energy and really, 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 really extra glammed up. I don't know how else to say it other than extra. She ended up looking like really royal, and that really wasn't my intention, but I guess because it's one of the most popular genres right now and musicals have kind of taken the world by storm all of a sudden over the past few years, it kind of makes sense because it's like this is the king or queen of music right now. And so generally I just wanted to bring in that energy of like storytelling, narrative, and just big emotions. This character is representing the very idea of musical music, so I had them being clearly a performer. I gave her this little like headpiece so that she has a microphone right by her mouth so that she could be performing, and generally just went for this sort of like aggressive color palette, these purples and reds clashing wildly to bring off the energy. Well, that does it for this video. There are tons more genres than this, so let me know if you'd like a part 2, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I think these ones turned out really, really good. I've done a lot of cute girls videos in my day, but this was one of my favorites by far. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much to my patrons, including Spella Story, Braggy, Kalpompon, Shizzle Lion, Clockwork Construct, Dr. Casket, Ilaria Louie, Elizabeth Album, Greer the Animator, Hachiubi, Yara Famoso, Imagine Creations, Even Rodriguez, JJJ, Joseph Copel, Blah Blah Blah, Micah Dactyl, Mr. Dr. Pants, Nora Cornelison, Ollie, Rosie Wordlock, Sergeant Pendulum, Some Mediocre Artists, The Artsy Moose, Tom David Johansson, Yaboyst, and Zoe Stardust.